Hello everyone, Giltar here with a model review. This time we're looking at the 1 to 144 scale R-2 Powered. It's from the Super Robot Wars line from Kotobukiya, and it was a model that was originally released in April of 2007 and retails at 3,500 yen, or just over 35 American dollars. This will be a two-part review. In this first part we'll go over the bulk of the model details, the accessories, the articulation, and on part two we'll finish all that up and I'll sort of put my final thoughts on this model kit. To start things off, again with just like the R1, the R2 Powered here is very much a Gundam inspired design. From the color scheme, which is predominantly blue with yellow, white, and red dark grays and a little bit of green thrown in, to sort of get the the original RX-782 Gundam color scheme going on. It's also, in terms of another aspect of homage, not so much as the RX-782 Gundam, but what we're looking at is, in my opinion, kind of like the love child of the RX-77 gun cannon and RX-75 gun tank. You got the bulkiness and I guess the predominantly blue coloring from the gun tank. From the gun cannon we have the more humanoid head with a sort of face plate type of thing going on rather than the eyes of the Gundam. So we've got sort of more of a generic grunt looking face design. The shoulder cannons come from both the gun tank and gun cannon. And then the rifle is a sidearm that it's more like a gun cannon type of deal than the gun tank. So overall, yeah, to me it's kind of like an homage to those two Gundam designs for sure. Now it's pretty obvious that this is a very bulky, large, substantial looking design. To get a scale comparison, I'll bring into frame here the RX-782 one-year war version Gundam. This is a master grade 1 to 100 scale kit, which is about, I think, 7.5 inches tall or so. So the R2 Powered, if it stands with its legs straight, is nearly as tall if you count the cannons. If you just count at the head, it's about up to the chest of the RX-782 here. So it's a pretty big model kit, and again it's a 1 to 144 scale model. And not only in its appearance is it quite sort of big and imposing looking, the actual heft of it, it's very heavy due to all the plastics used. I would actually say it's heavier than the master grade RX-78 Gundam, RX-782 Gundam that I just brought into frame a moment ago. It's heavier than that model, I believe. Now, in terms of the accessories, we'll start off on those first because there's only a couple. I'll start off with the rifle here, the gun. I'll just move the model out of the way for a moment. The gun sort of basically follows the same design concept as the R2 Powered. It's a very big, blocky, bulky rifle. It's made up of several parts. Like I mentioned in the R1 review, the Kotobukiya Super Robot Wars model kits have a lot of parts. They're very modular, I guess is one way to put it. It's very rare to have a single molded part. Everything you have to put together, which is nice because I'll bring back the model. Every different colored part is basically a different colored plastic. The only exception would be on the head sculpt, where the face has green colors, or green paint rather, applied for the visor, the head sensor, and I think that's it. The rest of the parts are all colored plastics rather than painted plastics. So that's good in that it's really nice to see a lot of different colored plastics used to make up a model, because it seems like there's less to paint. So that was the rifle, and again here's this big blocky cannon basically. I'll take off the sort of shoulder or back cannons next, and they just actually straight pegs into polycap ports in the back. Really big accessories. They certainly mean business in terms of design. Very blocky, angular forms overall. The only sort of curved forms we see are in the circles on the sides. There's a top like sort of cylinder form, another sort of cylinder drum back here, and then the barrels of the cannons themselves are more cylindrical, but everything else is very angular, so it really gives it a more sort of strong, robust appearance. And finally, there are these shoulder shields essentially that are they are on polycap joints basically for some maneuverability, but just due to the bulkiness of the arms and the shields, there's not much you can do with them. So I mean, you can wiggle them and rotate them a bit, but that's all. I'll take that one off too. So the accessories are the arm shields, the shoulder or back cannons basically, and then the rifle. Now as far as the R-2 Powered here, even without all of those accessories, it's a very, again, a substantial, robust, bulky looking design. It looks like basically a football player, or a robot on steroids. So I like that about this kit. It's not dainty or fragile. It doesn't look like a very sleek and sexy design. It's just a sort of a mobile suit or mecha robot armor, whatever you want to call it, that's just made to do some damage. So I like that. And even the head itself, like, you see a lot of angular forms. Even the legs, the arms look very blocky. So that's good. I like that for the design. And even the head itself, and I'll just take it off for a moment here, it's very blocky as well. Not many curved forms, mostly straight lines, or if they're on angles, they're usually sharply angled too. Oops, the head fin just fell off. Now in terms of articulation, maybe I'll just start with the accessories too first, because again, I already mentioned the arm shields, their sort of ability to be manipulated, but the cannons themselves too are on swivel joints. Unfortunately, or rather not unfortunately, because when you peg them in, they go into a recess and they sort of are secured. They don't wiggle side to side or rotate. They just stay stationary. And really, ideally, only the cannon themselves should be able to swivel. So that keeps them. They're surprisingly secure for such large components. And again, they're made of multiple parts. Probably over 30 parts for each cannon. Maybe, yeah. There's a lot. In fact, the model kit itself comes in a box this big, this wide. It comes with like 17 plates or 17 runners and 2 polycap runners. The articulation for the robot itself is pretty straightforward and basic. We'll start off with the feet. These are just, and I'll just take it off to show you guys here, just ball joints on polycap sockets. Very basic, and whoops. And they do allow a good range of mobility. So back and forth, side to side, and obviously they can rotate. And there's no real ankle armor to get in the way. The knees themselves have a nice range of mobility. Just under 90 degrees, but for the dimensions, like the proportions of this huge chunky leg, I'm actually quite pleased just to get that much, to be honest. There are no skirt armor components to get in the way, so the hips themselves will allow the legs to go that far front, that far back, and there is a bit of a sort of back armor that can get in the way, but not too much. The hips themselves are also on joints. There's swivel joints and polycap joints as well, so it actually has a nice range of articulation for something so big and seemingly bulky. It's really surprising. So I really enjoy that aspect of this model kit. Now the waist normally would have full 360 degrees of rotation, but due to the back armor here, it won't allow you to go that all the way around. The shoulders will allow you to go back and forth, up and down. Rotates at the sort of just above the elbow and bends at 90 degrees at the elbow. And finally, the head itself can wiggle a bit and look up and down a bit, but that's it. Due to all the armor around it, you can't do much. So that's part 1 of the review. We'll be back in the second part of this review, and I'll go over some final details and my thoughts on the model. Thanks for watching.